Good morning, guys. Welcome to this first day of July. And we are looking at the market, pretty much holding on to the some of the gains. They backed off a little bit in overnight, as you can see. But overall hasn't really kind of just hovering kind of where we left it. So we were had a pretty good day yesterday. So we backed off a little bit into the close, open kind of at halfway down, and then ended up being just kind of a little bit of weakness in overnight. That support there at the 75.10 still holding, 10 to 15 here still holding. So in a decent spot here. We'll see if they can make a go out of it. Now the news this morning, and we're getting pretty close to that July 4th holiday. So on Friday, the markets are closed. There's going to be a half day on the futures. I think they close at noon or maybe 1 o'clock Eastern. But it's a half day, little baby day, usually on a day like that. But the stock market is closed on Friday. Not going to be open in a room. I'm going to start the celebrations early. Today, though, getting some news. The job challenge and report came out at 5:30. That was way down. It was way down at about 45,000 instead of 90 last time around. The mortgage apps was pretty much flat. About 8:15, we get the ADP report or employment report. Doesn't do much. Excuse me. Doesn't do much to really key in on that employment situation. Usually they were kind of a little precursor, but I don't see that great correlation between them. But it gives you a data point, at least, what the job market looks like. The jobless claims at 8:30 as well. 9 o'clock, Kevin Walsh speaks. First time he does that, as far as I can tell. So we'll see what there could be some reaction around now, 9. 9:45 get PMI, and 10 o'clock we get ISM manufacturing and construction spending. So yeah, we got news trickling out most of the morning here. So 8:15, 8:30, 9:45, 10, and that 9 o'clock speaker. But I would just start off range bound right now. I would probably favor the long side still. Watching that support area here. If they take out this major area about 7,500 to 7,520, it's a little range there. I would be more inclined to look for a pullback into this lower range again. But as you can see, we had a nice move out of the middle to the upside here from the last couple of days, from that last week's selling going into the close of the month. Actually, they were selling before that. The last couple of days going into July has been a pretty good rally. That is your move out of the middle to the upside. And I think the big question becomes in July now. Okay, new quarter, new month. What are we gonna see here? We're going to see more strength. Are we going to see just summertime trading? We'll find out. But right now, I'm going to start from the long side of the market. I'm going to favor the long side, looking to buy weakness, at least to get started and see if they can hold on to the gains in the last couple of days. So initially looking to buy against the 75.25 to 30. That would be aggressive. You're trading right there now. 75, 10 to 15s. Yeah, 10 is the lower end of this range, 15 is upper, so 10 to 15 is support area. That's the London low. And then the yesterday's day session low at 74.95. And below 74.95, I'm going to assume that taking out this support area and go back range bound again. On the way up, looking for short setups, and not super aggressively, but they could certainly develop. I mean, against the 75.40s, 75.55s, and the 75.65s for rotations down. Given that we are favoring the long side, I would be a little bit less aggressive on them. The last couple of days worth of a pattern has been a little bit of strength, a little bit of slop in the morning, a little bit of a sell-off, and then a long freaking round to the upside. Now, are we going to get that today? Who knows, right? In a up market, you'll get usually some weakness and then strength in the afternoon. Now the last couple of days has been a quarter end kind of dynamics, I think, more than anything else. So starting off July, we'll see if we get continuation on that. I'm going to start off on that path and see if it develops. If it doesn't, we'll go back range bound and trade it as such. So, but shorts against 75.40s, 50, 55s, and the 65s. Rotations down. Could be opportunities, but we'll see how strong they get. I mean, it could be a nice short against that mode here at the 55s up here. That could be a nice short opportunity the first time they get there, if they get there. So that's how we get started on the ES, and then let's see if we get continuation from the last couple of days, or how July is going to start shaping up. The first trading day in July is always interesting, right? On the Nasdaq, we are looking at same story there. They traded up pretty darn good, retraced all the way down here to that 260 to 70 support there. So this whole day session value area from yesterday has been pretty much retraced, and then but they're holding that 280 level still. That volume edge still holding, but if that comes out, it's going to be a much clearer indication to that we may see some retracement heading back down again. So on the Nasdaq, definitely going to be paying attention to this support area. Now I would look to buy against that area early on here, and maybe down here to that 210s. That would be one level outside the obvious. Could be something in between here as well, but I think the if that 280, 290 support area and that volume edge comes out, I think we are going to be Nasdaq may be leading us lower. So that could be a thing to look for. So looking to buy weakness early on here. The only really area left is that 280 to 270, 280 area, and maybe down here at the 210s. So below that 210s, I'm taking off the long bias. I'm more taking it off at the 280s really, and to see how far they're going to take it. But the low end of this range is like a 240, and it's not that precise. So you can certainly pull it down to the next level down here to the 210 to 15s before you had to give up on the buying opportunity. But I'm going to buy against that support area. Could be useful. Could be an opportunity. But if they keep going, just kind of as I said, I'm taking off the long bias here. The last one to buy against that 210 is more one level outside the obvious, in case the S kind of run it hard to the downside. And sometimes they run it even harder to the downside before the reverse. So it's just hard to say. But early on, before we before we take off any long bias, looking to buy against these first two support areas. Now on the way up, looking for shorts against that 430s, 490s, 530s up to the 590 to 600s for rotations down. They could certainly be resistance areas now. Better resistance comes even higher at the 700s. You're not quite up there, so you're kind of in the middle of the slop, in the middle of the area. So I would look for short opportunities, and that's not super aggressively. If I'm developed, certainly worth maybe a shot to get on it. It just depends on how volatile it is. The last couple of days has been nothing but crazy volatile stuff, and it makes for a really difficult trading, because you really had to trade with a much bigger stop than you wanted to be able to take the trades and stick with them without just getting flat out shaken out. But it also opens you up for a little bit bigger losses if you're wrong. So that's how to be. And sometimes in a Nasdaq, the rotations back and forth is just nutty. So you can get in there, and if you have too tight of a stop, you'll see they run it hard, like 200 ticks in one side, reverses running another 200 ticks in other directions, like, and it's still net trending in a direction. It's just this slop around it which knocks you out or gets you caught. So you can find yourself being right on the trade and just getting knocked out and end up losing money on every trade, and that's very frustrating. But that's just a function of volatility. So the only option to deal with that is to not trade if it's too volatile, or trade with bigger stops and take a little bit bigger risks. All right, so that's the ES and the Nasdaq. So starting off, looking to buy weakness. Let's see if the strength from the last 2 days carries into July, or if we're going to get a different story here. Bond market, definitely not. Look, they took a dump yesterday. Man, look at that thing. So this is yesterday's bond market. They were not happy at all. So big move to the downside. And I thought we had a shot at heading up and testing this upper edge. You can see here we have big move from the upper edges from the mode up here, right smack down here to that lower end of this distribution. So pretty good move to the downside. And these days takes you by surprise. Hard to deal with because it's been trading in a tight range for days and days and days, and suddenly you get these big days when it just moves directionally. So you kind of get caught off guard. And if you try to buy the edges there, you can try to get long on the edges on the way down. You just find yourself getting rocked every time. It's just not a pleasant situation at all. This one should be down here. There you go. So looking to buy weakness on the looking to sell strength on the bonds up to the 1120. Let me see here. Up to the 11 or 112.30 to 113s. If they trade above 113s, maybe take off the short bias. But going into this, looking for short setups against 112.18 to 24s and the 30 to 113s here. 112.30 to 113s. Rotations back down. So that's kind of the dynamic on the bonds. Let's see if they're going to keep going lower or not. But pretty good move to the downside. So, and again, on the bond market, same story there. We're going to get continuation to the downside, or is this just a one-time end of the month kind of a dynamic we saw? So we'll see. At this point, it was moving. It's like institutional selling kind of dynamic yesterday. It was just grinding to the downside. Not a lot of volatility, just a slow grind to the downside. Makes it super hard to trade because you really had to sell with pretty shitty trade location to get on that. And it's just not easy at all. Looking at the cryptos going into the new month, and the silver is up, gold is up, nice runs out to the upside. Gold was done in the 3,000, a high 3,000s. Now they're back up in the 4,000s again. Silver was all the way down to 57s. Now they're up to 59 again. So pretty good move to the upside on both of those. Oil back down to 68. So oil is definitely still holding, even if these issues are going on back and forth. Oil is back down again. Bitcoin and the Ethereum futures to the downside still under pressure and not looking good. So, well, so for the future side, we can trade either way, but the underlying cryptocurrency is just getting hammered. So, no, out of favor. So they were doing pretty good like the year end, beginning of the year, but man, they're taking a beating and they're not coming back early, snapping back by any means. It almost feels like a little crypto winter going on, but I think there's legislation in Congress about I think it's the Clarity Act now, which is still getting done. And once that gets done, maybe we get some more traction on this. But the cryptocurrency legislation, I think, is being stalled like that. It's probably holding everything down on that side. And we'll see. Right now, though, we're looking at a little bit of maybe a little bit of strength building here, but. So back to the ESN Nasdaq, and we know how to get started. Slight bias to the upside. We know when to change it on the way down. 74.95 would be the last one on the ES. Set 2010 or 210 here on the Nasdaq, and let's see how the markets develop. At 8:15, we got the ADP already. What did that come in to be? ADP 98,000. They expected 85 to 130, came in at 98. So okay, so not interesting. So not completely out of whack, but a pretty good number. So that they will wrap it there now, and then we'll get started this first day of July, and I guess we can officially say we're going to start the 4th of July celebration. It's going to be today, and tomorrow it's going to trade, and then on Friday this whole thing kicks off. So. Alrighty, guys, we'll wrap it there. So good trading. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.